listening from practitioners higher, faster, and stronger. And joining us online is Tanmay Agarwal. Tanmay Agarwal, Vice President and Head at Global People Operations, Wipro. Tanmay is a seasoned professional in the realm of global people operations, currently serving as the Vice President and Head of Global People Operations at Wipro. In this pivotal role, he leads a large global capability center that focuses on enhancing employee experience for over 260,000 employees across more than 60 countries. So welcome, Tanmay. Over here on the stage, I would like to invite Sankar Narayan. Sankar, yeah, a loud round of applause for Sankar Narayan, GBS India Head, Smith and Nephew. Sankar is a distinguished leader in the field of global business services, currently serving as the GBS India Head for Smith and Nephew, a global medical technology company specializing in advanced surgical devices and wound management. So welcome, Sankar. Geeta Ramamurthy. Please welcome Geeta Ramamurthy, Managing Director, KBR Inc. Geeta Ramamurthy is a seasoned leader with varied experience in the engineering, science, technology, and consultancy space. Geeta has diverse experience of leading finance, operations, business verticals, business change, and digital transformation in India and overseas. Let's have an applause for Geeta Ramamurthy. Geeta, where are you? Okay. Yeah, sure. So friends, that's Geeta for you. Please welcome Geeta Ramamurthy. Thank you, Geeta. And to moderate this session, we have Atul Kulshreshtha, Senior Vice President, Strategic Growth and AI Solutions, Quintes Global. Atul is an enterprising business leader and tech enthusiast with over 35 years of experience in the IT/ITES industry with global companies like Capgemini, Colt Technologies, Genpact, eFunds, Amex, Gillette, and Tata's. So, hi Atul. So it's over to you to navigate this session.
Tanmay, hope you can hear me. Can you hear me, Tanmay?
Yes, I can. And am I audible, Atul?
Hi, hello. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's always a difficult session to take after lunch, and that also an AI solution, AI and Gen AI and everything to do with technology. So we'll get started. First of all, thank you once again. And I think, Geeta, you have been featured in our coffee table book also for the SSF research which we did as an inspiring leader. So congratulations once again. And so I think the topic is very, very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of you would be keen to understand what is happening in this space, especially when it comes to GCCs and how Gen AI is being leveraged to make things better for the organization, driving the value for the organization. So I'll just give a quick, 1-minute intro on that, right? Because even though I had AI solutions for Quintes Global, but I would be very, I'm learning every day, right? Because this space is changing so fast, right? And I think every hour, every day, something new is coming up. Yeah. Also, the fact that Microsoft has launched Copilot, right? It gives a different perspective to us, from a business view, right? How can you use, Gen AI in your day-to-day business functions, as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth, right? And then there are other solutions, because Copilot is obviously expensive, right? So So I'm still learning, okay, number one. Number two is that, again, my own journey is that whenever I see something, I try and think, okay, how can I use it for myself first? In my day-to-day working, right? How can I use that? Right? And then the thinking evolves that, okay, how can I use it for the business? And then the third level is where I start looking out for people who are partners who have already invested, or, you know, talking to some of those startups which are coming up with the new solutions, right? So that's the, at least the approach which I take to figure out the use cases, right? And honestly, we haven't figured it out, right? And that's why we are having this session, to understand from all of you experienced and expert, you know, leaders in GCC in terms of how is this landscape changing, right? What is it that you see from your respective businesses? And what are the use cases, and, you know, what are the challenges? And also, we'll keep it sharp. We have just about 30 minutes, right? So what I'll do is I will ask the questions, and then, you know, go around asking each of you for your perspective. Okay? So I think one important, you know, thing which we should also reflect on, right? There is a lot of conversation about AI, Gen AI, and AGI, artificial general intelligence, right? Which is, I think, if all of you would have seen it, Terminator movie, right? That is like the ultimate, you know, holy grail of AGI, right? We don't want that kind of a scenario, even though whether we like it or not, it's going to happen, right? So that's the holy grail, right? But just in terms of, because AI ML has been there for long, right? But what's your view of Gen AI and AGI? Maybe I'll start from Geeta, you, and then.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to make sure everyone is awake and listening. Which year do you think the origin of Gen AI was? When did it occur? You shouldn't Google, you shouldn't check the, use ChatGPT to find out. Okay, I'll tell you, 2014 was when actually the origins of, Gen AI actually occurred, because a person called Ian Goodfellow, he actually founded what was called the GAN, or the General Adversarial Network, and this actually was able to, kind of come up with an unsupervised learning model that was able to produce data as well as have another network. Can you hear me better? Yeah. Okay, sorry. So GAN, or General Adversarial Network, as I was mentioning about, really was founded in 2014 by Ian Goodfellow, who really actually came up with it by using two neural networks. One was a generator which generated content, and two was a discriminator which was really trying to discern which one was fake and which one was original, right, in terms of the content. So I think since then we've come a long way. And when you talk about opportunities and challenges, the opportunities are immense. Obviously, Atul, and I represent someone from the oil and gas energy industry. At KBR, it's a company that is basically providing solutions for governments and companies across a range of things, government solutions as well as energy solutions. And when you look at oil and gas, it's not very mature in terms of application of AI and Gen AI. And therefore, the potential to apply it in terms of improving efficiency, in terms of improving upstream production, in terms of predicting the better performance of assets in oil and gas, plants and facilities, is huge and immense. So there is a lot more for us to really, take advantage of. In terms of challenges, the fact that this is an industry which is multi-stakeholder, multi-party, where, you have the owners, you have the engineering contractors, you have consultants, and then you have other players who are going to actually handle the data for you. So this is really a landscape where the challenges evolve around lack of faith in how this technology will work, lack of comfort in terms of parting with the data or providing access to data, and data security and all of that. And thirdly, because it's highly safety critical, there is also nervousness about can you rely on the judgment that is coming out of this. So those are, in a nutshell, I would say, the opportunities are humongous and immense, but the challenges also remain quite a lot. And we are on this journey to unravel more of it as we go along. And we can talk about it in the next slide.
Sankar.
Sure. Hope I'm audible. Oh, loud and clear. All right. Obviously, when we talk about Gen AI and artificial intelligence as such, obviously one fundamental difference is possibly Gen AI uses data patterns and brings in multiple data points and proposes, which ultimately you have to decide, does it fit for you? Is it here to stay? Absolutely yes. And I can tell you specifically with respect to, I come from the healthcare world, more so from the medical devices world, where we extensively use AI. And I'm sure many of you must have already heard about the applicability of AI, even in the diagnostic world, where today even people are developing or using AI for reading brain scans to look at early detection of tumor. And there are so many various applications. In the healthcare world specifically, I think the impact is significant. And I think there are plenty of use cases where it has been very effectively implemented. Now, having said that, coming to the business world, taking a little bit of it's slightly a different story. In my experience at least, I think at this stage, while there are use cases, there is still a little bit of, what do I say, not sure yet in terms of how much of investment it is going to entail and how fast you are going to recover that investment as well. As a result, many of them are in the journey of using the generative AI. They're taking the path of generative AI as well as using artificial intelligence as well. But having said that, there are specific areas where I think that there are strong cases which are really coming up at this point of time where this can be applicable. I can name a few which we are trying to kind of explore in our organization. For example, if you're talking about compliance, organizational controls and compliance is an area where you can really effectively use, generative AI, and you can make the tool learn what are those important things for you to, as far as controls and compliance is concerned, and help you with that. Secondly, the big area that I think personally there's a lot of scope is using this for contracting, for example. Many organizations, small, big, very big organizations have hundreds and thousands of contracts, whether it is customer contracts, whether it is vendor contracts, you name it. There are hundreds and thousands of contracts. In my view, I think one of the things that takes a maximum amount of time and makes it unproductive is the whole process of redlining contracts and getting it to finalization, right? And there are now technology available in the same space where you can use a combination of technology, like let's say you can use prompt engineering, you can use what they call as STS, semantic text similarity. You use your contract text library and then bring it all together for you to do the redlining of the contract, which saves enormous amount of time, which I think personally is a great value driver for an organization today, where in most organizations, or many organizations, I will not say most, but in many organizations today, people spend hours together for the contracting process to be done, and that too many of it is done very manually. So that's another applicability. So to summarize, in my view, I think there is a lot of applicability both from the healthcare space that I come in, it is already being extensively used, while on the other hand, on the commercial side, there are many opportunities where this can be used, but then there is a caveat to it. For you to use Gen AI very effectively, you have to also make the machine learn. And that takes time. So therefore, what is important is it is not that you create something here, tomorrow you get result. It's going to take time for you to really get the return on investment. So that's another part of the question, I know, but I think it's important to understand that we have to invest a lot of time. There is going to be a lot of investment of money, And you've got to clearly understand the time frame by which you're expecting the results as well.
Correct. And you're absolutely right, because the quality of data and whether your data is in a form and shape which can be ingested by the engine, right? All that takes time, right? I mean, so.
No, I agree. I think the other important part which you rightly said, I think all this will be effective only when your data is good. So today, if you look at the organizations, many organizations for that matter, there is a significant investment going on master data management transformation. There is a significant effort to bring all the data together in a data lake for a single source of truth, as somebody said yesterday about a single source. If those things are not fixed, whatever solution we bring in, it's not going to yield your desired results. Therefore, I think there are 2-3 important parts. One, I think your ecosystem has to support. Second, we have to be patient in terms of investment and making sure that we understand our timelines by which the returns will come in as well. Only those things will make it more effective.
Thank you, Sankar. Tanmay, over to you. Please share your perspective and views.
Yeah, thanks, Atul, for very much, and thank you everyone for accommodating me on Zoom. I hope I'm audible.
Loud and clear.
Great. Yeah. So I had a like a meniscus tear, and I can feel so I couldn't make it in person, and I can now feel that no AI can solve for not me being there, physically present there.
Curing
Unless
process will take its own time, right? Curing process will take its own time.
Yeah. So unless some IR VR is what SSF now needs to evolve into. So at the outset, I really want to commend Ravi, Rakesh, Anand, Atul, you, Pallavi, Sanjay, and the entire SSF team, because I think they've been doing some really commendable stuff over the last 10 to 13 years now, if this is the 13th year of really creating the $65 billion GCC industry, which is now growing at 10% CAGR, and one of the fastest growing industries with so much of focus on GCC.
Tanmay, that calls for an applause actually for SSF.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Atul. So I think, I don't know, between yesterday and today, how many times the word AI and embedded AI may have been used, because there's no conversation today without AI. And Atul, just maybe a second on Gen AI versus AGI. Gen AI is generating content, creative content. So all the creative artists, creative content creators, be on the alert, or start using it as your co-pilot. And AGI is fundamentally looking at agents, which is mimicking humans and the human intelligence and the judgments that we make and we pride ourselves in, but limited by our biases as humans, limited by our limited knowledge. My 50 years today of existence on this planet is limited by interactions with people I've had, experiences in companies I've had. I don't know a zilch about oil and natural gas, what Geeta knows. But here's an intelligent AGI which can bring all of it together at like 100x the speed, and maybe minuscule of seconds, right? So I think that's the power of AGI. So I think I'm really privileged. So one of my reasons of joining an IT and ITS company was fundamentally to get closer to how tech is evolving and tech is becoming the core of everything we do. So I personally believe that from a GCC perspective, 100% of all that we do will have at least 50% of AI, which is embedded, infused, or used in some form or the other. So there are lots of use cases that we have embarked on in the last, couple of years. So I've been part of this journey for last 1.5 years. We have a vision of 2027 to kind of create an autonomous global people operations, like an autonomous car, which is driverless, and people who will be only looking at exceptions and dashboards. Now, I personally believe that's possible. Like I said, in 50% of all that we do, it will have a lot of challenges. And as we move, I'll talk of the areas that we are implementing this in. It will have a challenge with regard to our own headset and mindset. The limitation today is the way our own creativity starts looking at how we can leverage this. The challenge is about technology and technology platforms. Today, I think the speed at which use cases are coming and the speed at which technology is evolving is itself, there is a little bit of an imbalance. Uh, Everyone is coming into it. There is niche, there is no niche. I'm myself trying to understand how people are building within the same GPT-4 or a Llama or a GPT 3.5, how they're building their value add. So as we discuss, we will get into it. But I personally believe it's massively uh, in terms of an opportunity that has come before us and is quite disruptive. So, as we get into the next few questions, Atul, we will definitely address
No, no,
what
thank you
we
for
are doing. Yeah.
thank you for that. And I think, see, you touched upon driverless cars, right? I have had the privilege of sitting in Waymo, which is a Google driverless car in San Francisco, during my last trip, and it was mind-boggling, right? And similarly, Tesla, so whatever, semi-driving, fully autonomous, FSD, I think what they call, right? Those are early signs of, AGI, right?
Yeah.
Because a driverless car, it has to sense its surrounding, it has to adapt to the environment, it has to adapt to, pedestrians. So I think the way things are moving, I think it's just a matter of maybe time, right? Then how we are able to get to, I think Salesforce just announced that they are going to have agents, right, which are powered by their own AI, right, which will do exactly like what Tanmay you were saying, right? So I think those are some of the use cases. Obviously, we will. So coming to the next question is, very specifically, if you can touch upon, and especially Geeta, in your case, what are those use cases? Tell us about one or two examples where you are using GenAI to really change the way the business was running before that. And have you been able to see any kind of outcome as a result of applications, right? Obviously, in my experience, I have seen that any technology for that matter brings productivity benefit, right? But GenAI has kind of leapfrogged it, right? You're now talking about like, okay, 50%, 60% utilization, or in some cases like content, for example, marketing content now can be generated in minutes, right? Your research can be done in, in seconds, right? So those are obviously known things, but, tell us something more interesting from oil and gas and, your industry segment.
Sure, thanks Atul. Interesting to listen to the perspectives of everyone, but I'll try to keep it short. So in KBR, we have our own in-house LLM version, which is KBrain, KBR Artificial Intelligence Network. And what we've done is we started with looking at areas for application of AI, because first of all, it's not about using something fancy, right? You have to have a business problem that you're seeking to solve. So our business problem was, a lot of the work that's done manually. When I say manually, you are writing proposals. You have to put bids together for, large contracts. It does take a lot of work hours, right? So many people put their heads together, pull out data, and they rewrite it. Every time there's a proposal, almost they have to pull out the same thing. So we started by looking at application of GenAI using KBrain for proposal development. And what we were able to figure out was that it was able to drive 60% efficiency. Huge savings in terms of the effort required, because some of the statements, quality statements, safety statements, the background, the history of the company, those are just the same, and you don't need to keep reinventing the wheel. And there's also past projects you've delivered. So you're able to actually pull out some reference data from there and put it into your methodology for delivery to say that, this is how we will be actually executing the project. So this gives us a huge edge in terms of being able to drive efficiencies in our internal, sort of BD processes, our proposal development process. So that was the first use case. It's been very successful. and we are now rolling it out across all the divisions, all the businesses. The second one is more external facing. Any organization looks at, applying technologies to, perhaps first internally see if they're able to drive the value and, get the buy-in. And then externally, our clients, how does it help them? And in the case of oil and gas, many of our clients, though they were initially slow on this journey, are now quickly catching up. And large players, I can't name them here, but they were actually pumping in billions of dollars of investment, setting up, spin-offs, focused only on digital technology to leapfrog into, the Gen AI era of delivery. So for us there, the command and control center, which is really the nerve center of managing all the data for your clients, the asset data, and right from, the time that you have handed off all the process worksheets to the time it's constructed, to the time it's commissioned, and then your operations maintenance data. How can Gen AI actually make it more real-time, more intelligent, right? So that is what we are aiming towards. Right now, it's in a stage where bits of it is already done, but then this is particularly an area where quite a bit of investment is required, like you mentioned, and the value proposition has to be clearly visible. The ROI cannot be a traditional ROI calculation. Yeah. I think that's what mostly you start with. This is my cost. When do I get my benefit? But digital is a different beast. And in some cases, it will take longer to give you the benefit, but the benefits will be like, extra, I think exponential. So I think the second use case is really customer focused, and there we are making huge inroads. But what this will help us, not just us as KBR, but the industry itself, is that we will have a transformative way in which we will be able to not just help our clients quickly, come up with their final, let's say, a large capacity expansion in liquid LNG, liquefied petroleum, or if they want to put up a new ammonia facility, they have a reference data with which they can very quickly plan the layout, and this shortens the cycles to their capex, the capex spending, and this will also play a huge role in reducing the operations and maintenance cost. And that will all be happening in real time when you use Gen AI. So I think we have a huge potential to apply all of these technologies, and we are making very good progress on that front. Now, the third thing I want to mention is nothing can be achieved without change management, and a big part of change management is winning the hearts and minds of our own people first, and then making sure that we take everybody else along the journey. The different stakeholders, your client organization, the leaders in the organization. Project delivery person has some other priority, and the digital leader has another priority, right? This is the truth. So we have to deal with all of that. How do you actually play to the psyche of these people? How do you take them along the journey? And last but not the least, upskilling our own people to be comfortable to work with technology, to be comfortable to work with Gen AI. Because the fear sometimes is that I just want to do what I've been doing. It worked well for me for 20 years, 25 years. I don't need to do anything different. But it's unless they actually come on that curve, learning curve, they're going to be left behind, and the organization will start to feel the pain. So this is my view. I think the potential is humongous, and we are making good strides on that journey.
No, thank you very much. I think that's really great. Sankar, from your perspective,
I just want to talk about one example of where we have implemented. We're still kind of keeping a close watch on how things are progressing. I'm from the medical devices industry, where logistics is a big part of our operation. Logistics can be quite complex, primarily because a medical device industry has not only logistics, it also has reverse logistics, where materials can come in at any point of time for refreshment, then goes back, it is used in the operation theater, and so on and so forth. And also, one of the key problems that we were trying to solve was customer returns was a major issue for us because of various reasons. When a customer is returning an item, it was not being tracked properly. It was creating a challenge in terms of relating it to the original dispatch. And as a result, the credit memos were getting delayed. Customer was getting, very unsatisfied. And that started showing in our CSAT scores as well. Now, what we wanted to do was to look at how we can automate the entire returns process in itself, where things can seamlessly happen. When material comes back, once a trigger is there in the warehouse, how it seamlessly auto matches with the original transaction. Of course, there are mechanics to it, and which I'm not going into at this point of time. And the moment it comes back, it triggers an auto mailer to the customer saying that your material is received, and then within a specific time frame, it generates a credit memo automatically, because all those information around the rates and the quantity, etc., is matched, and then that credit note is triggered and goes to the customer directly. So what it did was, it eliminated a lot of manual intervention, which was creating a lot of challenge. And it took a little longer time for us to make the machine learn in terms of what are those steps it needs to perform from the time material comes back into the warehouse to the time it goes to the end of the transaction, which is issuing a credit memo. And most importantly, one of the key things that was coming back was there was no timely communication going to the customer, and the customer was getting very jittery. And that had a significant amount of impact. When we started implementing it as a pilot, picking up 4 or 5 of our important customers, it made a significant amount of difference. And we were constantly getting feedbacks from them. In fact, it is still on as we speak. Over the last, now it's what, 4 months now since we implemented it. I think the feedback has been excellent. And that's what I say is the power. If it is implemented in the right way, with a very clear objective of what we would like to achieve, I think AI has a huge potential.
No, that's a great example, and I think I'm conscious of time, but I think, my philosophy there is that, pick up the right use cases, run POCs, adopt approach of fast fail, right? If it's not working, move to the next one, right? Going over to Tanmay, maybe for a minute, Tanmay, if you can just share your, if there are any top of the mind use cases which you are seeing, that will be great.
Yeah, no, thanks, Atul, and thanks, Geeta and Shankar, for sharing your thoughts on how you're using it. So, I about 4 or 5 years back, when I was in the Coca-Cola Shared Services GBS, we had one problem statement, which was to look at various vendor commercial contracts, or the contracts that we had with vendors, and to understand the commercial clauses in terms of what's the payment terms, what's the agreement with regard to various commercials that we have agreed with the vendor. Now, thousands of such contracts, and it was a struggle for me to get someone physically to read those contracts, catch it or capture that into an Excel, and then give me a summary saying that here's an opportunity to improve working capital because these people are at 30 days, 60 days, etc. This is the way the payment terms are. This is how we're doing it in terms of other clauses. Today there is, and we worked with so many partners, and none could do it. That there was Watson at that point in time, but it was not successful enough. Today there is technology which can analyze voluminous text and give you exactly what you want, saving humongous amount of time, and we are leveraging that in what we have built as contract analyzer, and can help analyze contracts and with the prompts that you give. Now, I'll split the use cases into 2 parts. One is at a personal level, and Atul, you spoke about it when you started. So today, all my meetings are with Copilot on, and after the meeting, with the 99.9% accuracy, I have a summary of the meeting, the actions, and who is supposed to take that action, and it is circulated. So extremely useful. All often, I get emails which is after it has gone through 15, 20 rounds of various escalations or iterations, and it may be a 15-page email, and if you have to scroll down at the bottom to figure out what the history and the context is, extremely difficult and time consuming. And ask Copilot, give me a summary of the email. What's the issue? What's the action I need to take? It gives me a 3-line, 5-line summary saying that this is the summary of the series of emails that have gone by and the action to be taken, right? It is helping me draft emails. It has also helped me there are times, and this is very interesting, when there is a policy which we need to abide by, and then there is an empathetic decision that one needs to take, which is outside of that policy.
Correct.
Now, as a human, I am biased by the decision that I would take. If I'm an emotional person, I may take a decision which is outside of policy. How do you take a decision which is unbiased? And I've found that the engine that we use has helped me take those decisions and helped me give a point of view which has enhanced my decision. It
No,
has
no,
helped me draft contracts and legal contracts. So I think I've been using it extensively on a personal basis, and it is like very, very, very useful. At a enterprise level, there are lots of use cases, and I'll talk of a couple of them with outcomes. So we receive 12,000 resumes a day. That's the volume. Now imagine a scenario where humans have to go through those resumes, filter it, go through the interview process, and then say that, okay, here's an offer that needs to be made for the right candidates. And while we have not yet kind of completely tied the dots and the T's there, the JD and the resume matching to filter out the resumes without bias. Looking at today, there are conversational bots which are doing 60 to 90-minute conversations, which is round one and round two of the interviews, and giving you a report, and contextual interviews, whether it is, and including tests and evaluating those tests to give you a final report to the hiring manager, saying that here's the report both on soft aspects and the technical aspects and skills for you to eventually say that, yeah, you want to go ahead with this candidate. And that's the space where voluminous activity is getting addressed. And then I'll talk of, while there are many more, I'll talk of contact center, right? So contact center again at multiple levels. So first level, which I think most organizations would have done it, which is helping individuals address various issues they may have. I want to apply leave. I want to book a cab. I want to know what my leave policy is. I want to get a copy of my pay slip. So you have a friendly agent which kind of addresses all of these queries. So that's at one level. The next level is more agentic and contextual. So it will understand the persona that I am, which is, let's say Tanmay is frequently asking me about a type of a query, and it will know that, it will understand the context at an individual level, it will understand and read multiple knowledge data sets, and then be able to answer queries as an agent. So we've seen significant progress and benefits there, like almost 25,000 queries are answered every week by this agent. And imagine, a human sitting and answering based on their own biases, which is not easy.
no, no,
So,
great
so these are some
example.
examples, but there are many more. But in the interest of time, I'll let you
No, no,
ask more questions.
I think I see time's up for us. So, but thank you, Tanmay. I think you touched upon some very good examples, right? Just from a GCC leadership here, if you start using AI, you can become much more productive. It can summarize emails, it can summarize contracts for you. For bidding teams, for, at Wipro, I'm sure there are like thousands of contracts which you have to kind of keep track, right? And you were also saying same thing, Sankar, right? And Geeta, from your perspective, engineering and, oil and gas and ammonia plants, how do you use to design the plants? How do you optimize? Then there is energy efficiency, sustainability was talked about earlier in the session. So all those things can be much more fast-tracked. And that's where I think the point was that higher, faster, stronger is that, how do you get more productivity? How do you make yourself more effective in your job, right? I think we all, as leaders, we have to start from here, me first, right? So if we can do it for us, I think the idea will start coming, and you can start percolating it down to the other people. Number two, faster, obviously, we have heard about 60, 70%, 80% productivity, time utilization, right? And then I think the fact is that if we start leveraging, like he talked about AI agents, right? Smart AI agents who are able to deal with 25,000 queries a week. Wow. It will set a strong foundation for future growth, right? So again, thank you all. Thank you, Tanmay. Thank you, Sankar, Geeta, for joining me on this panel. And really good conversation. Hopefully, some key takeaways. I'll just take 30 more seconds. There is a study which Bain did, right, with some private equity firms, right, which have some 30 private equity firms, 3,000 mid-sized startups, right? And the finding was that 20% of them were able to leverage GenAI effectively for business good, right? So anyway, I mean, you can Google it and you can see it. But I just thought it's important for us to, that there is a lot of GenAI which is being used, right? And more, you know, their Bain study says that probably it will get to about 30% in next 2-3 years, and then 57% by 5 years, right? So I don't think we as GCCs are behind, right? It's just a question of starting to reflect and starting using GenAI in your own day-to-day. And then, you know, I think the ideas will come up, and I'm sure every organization will have your, you know, idea generation, you know, some kind of system, or and then you can pick up from there and build on that. So thank you once again.
Thanks a lot. It's time for the mementos. Thank you everyone for being here, but just stay. Of course, Mr. Tanmay Agarwal's memento will be sent to him. I'd like to request Mr. Sushil Kedia, COO, Tata Steel Business Delivery Center, to please come up to give a memento to Sankar Narayan. Calling Sanjay Dora, former COO GBS and India country head at Tesco. A memento for Geeta Ramamurthy, yes. Avinash Gambhir, Regional Manager at World at Work. A token of gratitude for Atul Kulshreshtha for moderating this session so wonderfully well. Can I have a quick group photograph?
Yeah. Can we get Tanmay on the background?
Yeah, can we get Tanmay on? I don't know whether he's still online.
He's still on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can we have Tanmay on the screen, please?
I'll miss Tanmay. Yeah. Okay.